Hey, this is Val and welcome. In this episode, I want to share with you how you can avoid becoming that unhappy lawyer. We've all seen them, those colleagues. I know for me, it breaks my heart to see these hardworking colleagues at the courthouse downtown doing meetings. They're overworked, overwhelmed, and desperately unhappy. And if you are a newish lawyer looking to open up your own practice, or you've been at it for a while, stick around for this episode because I want to share with you how you can avoid becoming that unhappy lawyer too. Unhappy lawyers are everywhere, and you don't have to be one of them. The thing is, it's true, isn't it? Unhappy lawyers are everywhere. And I am sure because you're listening to this, you don't want to be one of them. And that makes a lot of sense. And so there are 4 things that you can do to make sure that you avoid becoming that unhappy lawyer. So what are those 4 things? Well, I'm going to share them with you, and then I'm going to do a deep dive in each one of those so that you can take those strategies and bring them right back to your practice so that you too can avoid being unhappy. The thing is that being unhappy and being a lawyer doesn't always have to go together. So the first thing you do to avoid being an unhappy lawyer is you incorporate efficiencies in your practice every single place that you can. The second thing that you do is that you attract the kind of clients you want, those really great clients who are happy to pay for your expertise, who appreciate you, and all of that. The third thing you can do to avoid being that unhappy lawyer is to make sure you turn your clients into raving fans each and every time you act for them. And then, of course, finally, the other thing that you want to do to make sure that you avoid being that unhappy lawyer is you want to be able to take charge of your time. Now, I'm not talking about time management strategies and getting more stuff done in as little time as possible, but I'm talking about taking charge of it in a way so that you are not rushed from thing to thing and overwhelmed. So let's dive into each of these strategies. So your first key to making sure that you're not that unhappy lawyer all relates to efficiency. You might have heard me say this before, but Dan Sullivan, who is this uber super cool coach guy from Strategic Coach, says you want to systematize everything that is predictable so that the exceptional can happen. And so what do we mean by that? Well, in my office, we, for example, have checklists for everything. We have checklists for doing hearings, 4-way meetings, arbitrations, mediation arbitrations. We have checklists for onboarding a client, onboarding a staff member, offboarding a staff member, offboarding a client. You name it, we have checklists for all of the things. We also have precedents so that, those kinds of letters that you write over and over and over again, well, instead of starting them from scratch every time, we use a precedent to make sure that we are uber efficient about writing those letters. We use email templates whenever possible. For example, when a client has done an initial consultation with one of the lawyers in our office, well, the next day they get an email from us. And in that email, they say, hey, how did your consultation go? Did you hire the lawyer or did you not? If you did, how come? If you didn't, how come? And what else do you want to share with us? And people are often really happy to give us very great constructive feedback because, of course, we want our clients to be super happy and we want to know if we are doing something that doesn't work for them. We also use cloud-based law practice software everywhere. So back in the olden days, I had this big old clunky server that I paid a fortune for to be backed up every night. And of course, if I was working, I had to be tied to my desk at the office. Well, that's all changed. And having the cloud-based system where I can store my client's information and access it from anywhere and have it actually be secure regardless of where I'm accessing it. So it's completely encrypted and safe and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's given me a huge amount of freedom. And guess what? That's made me a lot happier. So going back to your practice, think about, just start with one thing. I probably fire hosed you with a bunch of information right now about, well, you could do this. Oh my gosh, I can't even start. No, you don't want to have to do that. So the thing is you just want to get started on that process. And whenever you start and you dedicate time each week to making your systems better, it's going to transform your law practice in such a good way. And it's going to keep you being happy as opposed to an unhappy lawyer. The second strategy to ensuring that you avoid becoming that unhappy lawyer is to attract great clients to your law practice without spending oodles of money on advertising. Now, back in the olden days, when I first opened up my practice, I did the same mistake a lot of other lawyers did, in the sense that I put a ton of resources into Google Ads. It was almost like throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping something would work. A lot didn't. And of course, the second I turned off my Google Ads, the flow of clients stopped coming to me as well. And so how do you make sure that you can attract great clients to your firm? Well, you get your previously happy clients to rave about you. And so what we do when we roll up a file, when we finished a file and concluded it, and we know our client's been extraordinarily happy, we ask them if they'd be willing to leave a review for us. We have, again, efficiently an email drafted that we can send to them and explain that if they could share their experience with a review, that could actually end up helping other people who are looking for great legal help. Because as you know, all lawyers are not created equally. And we, of course, assure them that we want to be able to help more people. And I find time and time again, my clients are absolutely thrilled to leave me great positive reviews. So people who are looking for a lawyer, they see our reviews and they're like, wow, this must be a really great law firm. And of course, when I'm sending them the request for the review, I put in a link, make it really, really simple, no brainer, completely easy. Click, click, boom. There's a great review for Val and her firm. Oh, hey, it's me. Interrupting a little bit because I want videos like this to reach more people. So if you are enjoying what you see, if you're finding it helpful, please hit the subscribe button, which is somewhere up there. And also tell me, what was the biggest takeaway you had with respect to this video? Leave it in the comments below and I will answer every comment, every question, because that's what I do. Now, let me dive into the third strategy. Now, I mentioned earlier about taking charge of your time, and I'm not talking about those time-saving technique hacks where you break your day up into all these incremental minutes and try to get as much done as possible in the shortest amount of time. It's nothing like that. What I'm talking about is delineating the kinds of tasks you have throughout your day. So for example, I used to mix up my days. What I mean by that, I would have client work and then I have to run an errand and then I might have to deal with my trust audit, or I might have to dealing with the phone company or the bank. But then I would be wanting to, write a letter that I had to concentrate on to other counsel. And so it was just scattered. So when I was working with a client, doing client work, which we call focus days, and again, this comes from Strategic Coach. I got to do a shout out to Dan Sullivan and the people at Strategic Coach, because they talk about this, that successful entrepreneurs delineate their days. And so we do that. I do that at my office where I call them focus and leverage days. What are those? Well, those are the days that I'm on deck, on stage. For example, as I record this for my Be the Best Divorce Lawyer podcast and YouTube, this is a focus activity. It's a leverage activity. So this isn't about going to the bank or anything like that. This is where I'm focusing, I'm on deck, I am concentrating, and I am doing my best work. Other kinds of activities that I'm talking about, Strategic Coach calls them buffer activities. I call them bumper, as in if you don't do these things, things are going to crash. And so what are some examples of this? Well, I think in the last 2 weeks, some of my bumper activities have been talking to my bank about my secure token, going to my bank to get new login information for my accounts. Yeah, because we were hacked. Yeah, that happened. Or I've also, dealt with an errand or called someone on behalf of my daughter. Those kinds of activities. So again, very, very different than doing client work, being in a trial, doing a recording video, or anything like that. So it's about saying, okay, on this day, I'm doing this kind of activity. On this day, I'm doing this kind of activity. And what I've found is that has had a huge stress reduction for me. What I mean is that when I'm working with clients, I'm not going, oh my gosh, I've really got to get that thing done that I haven't done. And when I'm working on the other stuff, like, I've got to really do that client work. It's like I am there where I need to be, focused and doing what I need to be doing as I'm doing it. And pro tip, it's all scheduled in my calendar. So let's dive into number 4, the tip to make sure, another tip, a strong tip to make sure that you are not going to end up being that unhappy lawyer. This strategy And believe me, it's ridiculously simple. And it's actually 2 strategies in one. And what it does is it turns those clients that you have into raving fans. Now, think about it. What are the 2 things that your clients who are going through a separation and divorce want? Well, number 1, they want to see their file progress. They know that they have to get to the goal of an order or a final separation agreement that's legally binding, and they want to make sure that you, as their lawyer, are getting them to that place. The second thing they want is they want to make sure that their lawyer understands their hopes, their concerns, their fears, their stresses. So this is what I do that has worked like crazy. And in fact, in order for a client to work with me, in order for me to allow myself to be retained, I get them to agree to this very thing. I do almost all of my client work with my client present. And sometimes I say that I might not even need you a lot right now, but I just need you to be on a call, a Zoom call, present with me in the office. Doesn't matter how we do it. But the thing is this is what a lot of lawyers do is, let's say they have to write a letter to opposing counsel. Let's say it's an offer, and they take their client's instructions and they write it all down, and then it sits on their desk and festers for a while because they have lots of other things to do. And then they eventually get around to it. By then their mind's a bit fuzzy about their notes. Maybe the notes aren't perfect. Then they draft something. They send it to their client. Their client looks at it going, wait, what the heck? Like, were they even there? Because you might make some mistakes about some details of their offer. And of course, your client's trust in you goes down if that happens. And it's just a slow, clunky process, because then you send it to your client for their instructions. They eventually get it back to you. Eventually you get it out the door. And so in my process, what we do is we just skip a lot of that. I say, okay, we're going to meet next week or the week after, and we're going to sit down together and we're going to make the offer. And I'm going to pull it up on my screen and we'll work it through together. And as we sit and hang out, I get very clear on their offer. They tell me what they want. I make recommendations. I'm giving them advice. By the time they leave their appointment, that offer has gone to the other side. It's correct because I haven't made any mistakes, and because my client has corrected any, and also my client has felt very heard through the process. So that is the strategy that has worked like I can't even tell you how well, to make sure I have really happy clients who trust my work, who feel that I understand them, but also they see their matter always moving along to conclusion. The penny really dropped for me in terms of how effective this strategy was when a client of mine said to me, you know, Val, every time I meet with you, I end up getting a bill, but I also know that my case is moving towards conclusion. Every time we meet, I see the progress. So imagine that. And that's what I want you to have for your clients, because they'll turn into really raving fans. So, my dear friend, I hope that has been helpful to you. And again, starting from the top, what I'm saying is, number 1, you want to attract great clients to your law practice by utilizing your other clients who are extraordinarily happy. You want to turn your clients into raving fans because you've done work with them while they are present, moving their cases forward, making sure that they feel understood. You have also taken charge of your time in a way that is so good for protecting your energy and your resources. So while you are doing what you need to do, you are feeling good about it while you are doing it. And finally, of course, you want to focus on being exceptionally efficient. If you have done something more than once in your practice, maybe twice, set a system around it so that you can keep your systems systematized and allowing room for the exceptional to happen. This is Val. Much, much love. If you found this video helpful, and I hope you did, please give it a thumbs up, because if you do that, then this video will be able to reach more people. And as well, if you want to stay in closer touch with me, please ring the little bell icon so that you can subscribe to this channel. This is Val. Much, much love.